lots of hoses that you can point to. You got your coolant hoses, you got a power steering hose, you got a brake hose right there, you got some air lines right here. And what you really want to do is just kind of point to some of them. Say, I'm going to be checking my hoses, my coolant hose, steering hose, brake hose, some of my air lines. I'm making sure that they're not ripped, torn, or frayed. There's no cuts, bulges, or abrasions on them, and that they are not leaking. No audible leaks for my air lines, no visible leaks for my fluid hoses. Next, we'll move on to on your list, it's going to say fluid levels. There's 3 fluids that you're going to be checking. That is your coolant, your engine oil, and your power steering fluid. You don't really need to talk about the reservoir itself, but I included it in there. It's not a bad thing to mention it. We're going to start off with our coolant reservoir. It's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, not leaking. It's filled to the proper level in between the cold minimum and the cold maximum. It has a cap on it that's on there tight with a rubber seal on the inside that's not ripped, torn, or frayed. If I needed to add some, I would do so through there. I would never open that cap when the engine is hot. Next is our oil. You don't need to take this out and actually check it at the DMV. You just need to tell them how you would check it. You would pull it out, wipe it, put it back in, pull it out again, and make sure that it's in between the maximum and minimum fill line. If you need to add oil, you would do so through the cap, the fill cap. The cap is on there tight, has a rubber seal on the inside. It's not ripped, torn, or frayed. Next, you move on to your power steering fluid. Power steering reservoir. It's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not leaking. It's at the proper level in between the minimum and the maximum. Has a cap on there. It's on there tight. Has a rubber seal on the inside. It's not ripped, torn, or frayed. And now we can move on to steering. On your list, it's going to say steering. It doesn't mention all the steering components, so you do need to memorize the steering components. We'll start off with our steering column or steering shaft. You could call it either or. It's properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken. It has U-joints up here, down here, properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. They're not missing any hardware, not missing any bolts, and they're properly lubricated. My steering box, properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware or any bolts, and it's not leaking. My pitman arm, it's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, not missing any hardware or any bolts, and it's secured with a castle nut and a cotter pin. The castle nut and cotter pin, castle nut looks like a little castle. It has a little pin going through it. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm saying kind of the same thing for every part. It's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. You're going to say that pretty much for everything on this truck. When it comes to hoses or rubber, you're going to say it's not ripped, torn, or frayed, or it has no cuts, bulges, or abrasions. For almost everything that's rubber, no cuts, bulges, or abrasions. It's not ripped, torn, or frayed. For everything that's metal or parts like this, you're going to say it's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. Moving on to our drag link, this part right here. It's connected to the pitman arm. Your drag link, same thing you said for the pitman arm. It's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's also secured with a castle nut and a cotter pin. Same thing you say for the pitman arm and drag link, you'll say for the tie rod. Tie rod is this bar that's from this side all the way to the other side. Long bar, way back here. That bar right there. Ties this side to that side, right? Tie rod, properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's on there with a castle nut and a cotter pin. And is that it for steering? Yep. Next, we'll move on to suspension. Suspension, we'll start off with our front spring mount. Front spring mount is this one right here. It's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. Not missing any hardware, not missing any bolts. Front spring mount. Rear spring mount and shackle, you can see it better through here, but it's just the other part where the leaf spring attaches to. Your rear spring mount and shackle, properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. Properly mounted, right? Not missing any bolts, not missing the hardware. It's that one right there. Spring mount and the shackle. Your leaf spring itself, properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. No shifted or scissored leaves. No missing leaves. No illegal welds, no illegal holes on them. Your U-bolts. They look like big upside down U's. U-bolts right here. You got 2. They're properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. They're not missing any bolts, not missing any studs. Your shock absorber. Shock absorber right here, properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken, not missing any hardware or any bolts, and it's not leaking. That's it for your suspension. Next, we'll move on to brakes. You got your brake hose right here, properly mounted and secure at both ends. There's no cuts, bulges, or abrasions on it. It's not ripped, torn, or frayed. There's no audible leaks. It's your brake hose. Next, you got your brake drum and your brake shoes. Brake drum's going to be on the inside. And your brake shoes, you're going to say they're properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. And they have no foreign debris on them, no grease or oil on them. They're not discolored. They're not discolored, which could indicate that they're overheated. And they're not, what's the word? They're not excessively worn thin. Your wheels. Wheels, you're gonna start off with your tires.
They look kind of worn.
Remember ICD, I for inflation, C for condition, D for depth. ICD, it's on there right here. So we'll start off with inflation. They're inflated to 100 PSI or the manufacturer's specification. If you need to check the inflation, you would do so with a commercial grade air gauge. You would check it through the valve stem, which is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not leaking. Next is your condition. The inside and outside sidewalls are properly mounted to the rim. There's no cuts, bulges, or abrasions. And they're there, right?
No illegal welds.
On your tires?
Rims. Rims.
30 seconds.
Depth with, the only thing that, that's actually on here. Checking with a tire depth gauge, make sure that tread depth is no less than 4/32. On the steer tires, there's no recaps, no mismatch, no, what does it say? Retread tires on the front steer tires. As a matter of fact, the only tires you're going to be talking about are the steer tires. That's it. Wheels, let's see, rims, your rim. Richard, what were you saying about rims?
No illegal welds or illegal holes.
Yep.
Properly mounted, secure, not bent, cracked, or broken.
Perfect. Your lug nuts, properly mounted and secure. There's no missing nuts, no missing studs. There's no shiny metal or rust around the nut that could indicate looseness. There's no missing nuts. Huh?
He fucking cracked the fender.
Oh, come on, dude. Catchy's a brand new truck, dude. Come on, we just got this. All right, that was it for wheels. That was pretty much it for the front of the vehicle. We're gonna move on to the side and rear of the tractor. We'll start off with this marker light right here, properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, working properly, and amber in color. We'll move on to mirrors. On your checklist, it doesn't say mirrors, it says safety monitoring devices. It's a mirror. That's what they mean by safety monitoring device. It's a mirror. It's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. Not missing any bolts, not missing any hardware. We'll move on to our batteries, which are right here. Battery box, right here. It's properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken. My batteries are inside. Batteries are all connected properly. There's no ripped or frayed wires. There's no excessive corrosion. My batteries are not leaking. My battery cover is on there and it's latched properly. That's it. We'll move on to DEF tank or DEF tank. Properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken. It's not leaking. Has a cap on it that's on there tight with a rubber seal on the inside. And it also has a safety cord. Next is our fuel. Fuel tank, properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, not leaking. It's secured on there with metal straps that have rubber on the inside to prevent metal on metal contact. The cap is on there tight with a rubber seal on the inside. It's not ripped, torn, or frayed. The cap also has a safety chain and a T-bar on the inside. Let's move on to The frame. Now you can say the frame up there if you want. You can say it back here. We're talking about the frame of the tractor. Your frame. Properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken. There's no illegal welds or illegal holes on it. Your electrical lines. So, everybody see on the packet where it says rear of tractor lights?
Yeah.
I forgot to update that. You don't need to say that.
You said that, but no tractor lights.
Rear tractor lights. Rear tractor lights you don't need to say. So from there we can move on to, what'd you say?
Utility lights.
Utility lights. What about your utility lights?
That's what they're called, utility lights.
Utility lights are those right there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about rear of the tractor. Way back there.
What'd you
Left
say?
turn signal, right turn signal, running lights, reverse light.
Oh, you don't
Rear
have
of
to,
tractor
you don't
lights.
have to say nothing about those?
Mm.
Oh.
You don't need to mention utility lights either. So we'll move on to air and electrical lines. As you can see, it's on there twice. You only need to say it once, and you can start saying it when you're doing your coupling or your combination. So your air lines, you got a service line, which is blue, and emergency line, which is red. Make sure you say your air lines separate from your electric line. So you're going to say my air lines back here, properly mounted and secured at both ends to my tractor and to my trailer. They have no bulges, cuts, or abrasions. They're not leaking. My electrical line, secured to the trailer and to the tractor. It is not ripped, torn, or frayed. There's no exposed wires. And both my air lines and electrical lines are held up with a spring with enough tension to keep them off the catwalk or the frame. We move on to our apron, which is this part right here, this big piece of metal. In the front of the trailer, that's your apron. Properly mounted and secure, it's not cracked, bent, or broken. No illegal holes, no illegal welds. Your apron sits on top of your fifth wheel skid plate. That's your fifth wheel skid plate. It's properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken. No illegal welds or illegal holes. It's properly lubricated to prevent any steering issues. Gap, who said the gap?
There's no gap.
There is no gap. You do need to mention that. Make sure you mention that there is no gap or space in between the apron and the fifth wheel skid plate. They need to be sitting on top of each other. Your platform is what your fifth wheel skid plate sits on. Your platform. Properly mounted and secure, it's not cracked, bent, or broken. No illegal welds, no illegal holes. Your platform is mounted onto your frame with mounting bolts. These bolts right here. Those are your mounting bolts. No missing bolts, no missing studs. They're not loose. They're properly mounted and secure. Yeah, you can add that. Sliding fifth wheel locking pins. Kind of hard to see in this truck because this one has them on the inside. Sliding fifth wheel locking pins, there's these grooves on the inside. Looks like a rail. You have locking pins that lock into those grooves because this fifth wheel can slide forward and backwards. So you're going to say that your sliding fifth wheel locking pins are properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. They're not missing. And they are in the engaged or the locked position. Your locking jaw release handle. This right here. It's properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing. And it is in the engaged or the locked position. It should be anyways at the DMV. They're not going to make you unhook from your trailer at the DMV. Your locking jaws. Kind of hard to see from here. You don't need to go under unless they ask you to. You can see your locking jaws if you go under here. But at the DMV, you just point in that direction in the middle of the fifth wheel skid plate and say that your locking jaws are properly mounted and secure. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. They are locked around the kingpin shank. And last, your kingpin, properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken, and it's not missing. Comes down from the trailer. Good?
I just wondered what it would be like with one missing. It wouldn't even be
Yeah.
here. It's almost crazy to say it.
Yep. Let's see, what do we got? Trailer. What'd you say? I just said it right now.
Not missing.
All right, for your trailer, you start off with clearance lights. Clearance lights up there. Anything that's up there is a clearance light. Same thing you said for clearance lights up in the truck, you say for the trailer. Properly mounted and secure, they're not cracked, bent, or broken, they're working properly, and they are amber in colors. On the corner, yep. Clearance light. On the flatbed trailers, you'll have them up here. Running lights, you'll have one in the corner, and you'll have some going down. You have a signal, turn signal, or marker light right on the side. You need to mention it. It's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, and amber in color. At the very end on the side, you have a red light and an amber light. The amber light is your ABS light. The red one is a clearance or running light. Sorry, not clearance, but a running light.
Say it again.
Which one's ABS?
Your ABS light is the one that is amber in color, the orange one. ABS light. And this is your running light. It's the only running light on the side of the trailer that's red. All other red lights are going to be at the back of the trailer. Let's go back up here again.
You can adjust that one here and there.
For the side of your trailer, your DOT reflective tape. Where is it? Perfect. How much on the side of the trailer? All the way down, 50%. And on the back is 100%, right? So reflective DOT tape all the way down my trailer, at least 50% visible. On the back of my trailer also, but 100% visible. Landing gear frame. Your landing gear frame is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any bolts or any hardware. Your frame right here, the frame in there, all that is your landing gear frame. Your sand shoes or landing gear shoes, properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken. There's no sand or rocks, any gravel on them. Your landing gear crank handle, properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. Not missing any hardware, any bolts, and is in the stowed position. It's not missing. And landing gear clearance. Your landing gear clearance, what they mean by landing gear clearance is that there's enough clearance between your landing gear and your mud flap or drive tires. There's enough clearance through there to prevent any steering issues. You don't want any of this touching that. Rear lights, so last thing is just rear trailer.
Nothing about the
Nope. Nope. None of that. Your lights back here. You got clearance lights up there, which are red in color, working properly, not cracked, bent, or broken. If you're in the flatbed, you don't have those up there. You just have your running lights, blinkers, left turn signal, right turn signal. My brake lights, my running lights are all working properly back here. They are red in color, a clear license plate light that's also not cracked, bent, or broken and working properly. And I have,
turn them on. Do you have to flip the switches and turn them on as a demonstration?
at one point you will be asked to do so for the examiner so that you can actually check your lights, make sure they're working before you go out on the road. They will let you know when.
But not during the pre-trip?
You can if you want to. Okay. And again, reflective DOT tape on the back of my trailer and my DOT bar. That's it. That's it for pre-trip.